I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news for a Friday into a holiday weekend. Someone tried to put a 3:30 appointment on my calendar today. No, we are not doing that. J.L. Covan tweets, The Rock had COVID, which means for the first time, The Rock could not smell what The Rock was cooking. That is a quality joke. Conan O'Brien also with a great joke. He said, I just learned that for the last 5 years, what I thought was my, quote, wife was just a cardboard MLB cutout. On a serious note, O'Brien is looking for people to send in cardboard cutouts of themselves, or I guess you send your picture and he makes a cardboard cutout. Details on Conan's website. Right now, he has cutouts of whatever he could find in storage. So his current audience is Ruth Bader Ginsburg, James Comey, Conrad Bain from Different Strokes, and 4 Kevin Harts. But he wants to give fans a chance to occupy his audience. So send in photo submissions to be put in his audience if you ever wanted to be in the audience for late night shows, but have no plans of going to California or New York. This is the contest for you. More jokes. Larry the Cable Guy said, I can tell fall is coming. I just saw a box of pumpkin spice jock cream. I paused. I'm doing the mug for the camera. Mark Normand said, overweight people are the only oppressed group that fluctuates. You never hear, hey, I get it. I used to be Mexican. Also a good joke. Joe List is Mark's podcast partner, and he said, I did a, quote, loving kindness meditation, unquote, outdoors. I killed 12 ants during it. Namaste. John Oliver via the News Times. He's waiting to hear back from Danbury. The Last Week Tonight Twitter account on Wednesday night tweeted they were awaiting Danbury's response to Oliver's offer to donate $55,000 to city and Connecticut charities if Danbury renames its sewer plant after him. The tweet said, our hats are off to both of you, if we wore hats, which nobody has since the mid-20th century. But look at us, explaining the decline of the American hat industry to Danbury. From Vanity Fair, Kevin Hart revealed that he, too, was diagnosed with coronavirus around the same time as Tom Hanks, which is why he didn't tell anyone. According to Page 6, at one of those Dave Chappelle shows out in the park, Hart said he had been diagnosed with COVID-19 back in March and said, the problem is I had it around the same time as Tom Hanks and I couldn't say anything because he's more famous than I am. From the Comics Comic, they report Colin Quinn and friends filmed a special for HBO Max at the Skyline Drive-In this week. Comedians that took part, Chris DiStefano, Rachel Feinstein, Sam Jay, Bobby Kelly, Marina Franklin, Bobby McFarlane, Keith Robinson, Dan Soder, and Rich Voss. That's a pretty good set, man. Ted Alexandro gets a long article on Fast Company. He is putting out his second special during the pandemic. And they wrote, not bad for a, quote, retired stand-up. Ted said, I've kind of tongue-in-cheek announced my retirement, but honestly, that's how I felt throughout the pandemic. I pretty much try not to deny what is real in life, and what's real right now is that stand-up shows, as we're used to them, are shut down for an indefinite period of time. Ted had been filming many of his sets at the Comedy Cellar, so the new special Cut Up has the unusual format of bouncing between locations and sets, sometimes within the same chunk of material, showcasing the best captured version of each joke. Ted said, there's no substitute for running something dozens of times and really polishing it to the point that it just gets the razor's edge. I mean that in terms of the wording, the tags, also the physicality, whether it's facial expressions or gestures that can only come over time by doing it again and again. There's no way to get that out of a podcast or a Zoom show or stuff like that. I'm not someone who's pining to recreate stand-up with these outdoor shows or on Zoom. I've heard these socially distanced outdoor gigs can be decent and audiences are appreciative, but personally, I've just not felt the impulse. It sounds like trying to recreate the conditions of some of the worst gigs we've ever done, like a parking lot show. I don't begrudge anyone who does it. For now, I'm cool sitting that out. When stand-up comes back, then we'll do stand-up. For now, I'm enjoying what podcasting allows you to do instead. So I didn't start this podcast to like every day talk about what comedian did what horrible behavior. There were 2 stories in the pod yesterday that I covered. We talked about the Ren and Stimpy guy and James Veitch, and I'm just like, that's not like why I'm here. So I just want to say in the news today, Chris D'Elia has been accused of exposing himself. Again, it's not why I'm here. Google Chris D'Elia if you want to cover that. You hear me. Just it's not fun. Let's not do it. It's important, but it's not fun. Sebastian Maniscalco is selling his home. This from the SF Gate. They write the boldly decorated domicile first came on the market last year for $4.5 million, but it's back. Price cut to $4 million and has a slightly more subdued look. Some of the vibrant custom furnishing have been swapped out, including a zebra-striped dining table and a polka-dotted couch from the original listing. But there's no hiding it. This place isn't for a buyer in search of a neutral palette. Sebastian bought the house in 2014 for $2.8 million from the outside. The private and gated compound has a modern Mediterranean vibe. Inside, it's another story. The SF Gate has all kinds of details there, including the home's garage is now an art studio with a sink, TV, AC, and cabinets added. The listing notes it can still be used for 2 cars. So why are they moving? They have bought Gwen Stefani's house for $21 million. Looks like Sebastian Maniscalco is doing okay on the comedy scene. All right. So as for the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Labor Day, all pre-tapes. I've been hosting the show on Live by Live for enough years that I know right around Labor Day, the news dries up. And now that we're 8 or so minutes into today's podcast, I don't mind telling you, I had to pull teeth today to even get enough stories to get to the end here. So let me take a break. And tomorrow we'll look at Caddyshack's 40th anniversary. On Sunday, Variety's 10 comics to watch. And by the end of it, I get kind of cranky because it's all like YouTubers and, people that make funny faces to Donald Trump audio. And I'm wondering what happened to stand-up comedy. So that's Sunday's pod. And Monday, since you Brits got to work and I'm going to the beach, all Ricky Gervais on Monday. And I'll be back Tuesday with a fresh episode. And as always, if something happens, like say Jim Gaffigan loses his mind and does a tweet storm, I'll do a bonus episode, or I'll throw out one of the pre-tapes or save it for a rainy day, more likely. And I'll give you a fresh episode. But other than that, thank you for listening. That is your comedy news. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, follow on Spotify. Everybody have a great holiday weekend. Like I said, there will be episode drops and a brand new show, the weekly comedy thing on Live by Live. That's free. Grab the app, Live X Live. That'll be out Sunday morning. If you want to hear some comedy clips in between the news, you should check that out, weekly comedy thing. And I'll see you Tuesday, except for, the pre-recorded stuff. See you tomorrow.